Welcome to the Vegas Insider channel here on YouTube as we take a look at the 147th running of the Preakness Stakes, which is coming up in Baltimore, Maryland on Saturday, the second leg of the Triple Crown. Kevin Rogers and the Big A, Anthony Stabile, joining us. And Anthony of Naira Bets, content producer, puts out expert videos, also co-host of America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports. And Anthony, obviously coming off the big upset at the Kentucky Derby. Now we'll see who comes out on top here. Rich Strike is not running after winning at 80-1 odds. So now we go from a 20-horse field to 9 horses. Is that easier or tougher in your mind to handicap? Obviously, it's less horses, but do you think it's any tougher or a little bit easier because now you got fewer horses to worry about?
It's much easier. In fact, Kevin, the Preakness is the most formful historically of the Triple Crown races, for the simple fact that it is the most traditional of the races. It's only a mile and 3/16. A lot of the Derby preps are at a mile and an eighth, so it's just a 16th of a mile longer. The horses that have exited the Derby have already run a mile and a quarter, so they're actually cutting back in distance for the Preakness. Horses like Epicenter have already been the mile and 3/16, the exact distance in the Louisiana Derby. So historically, this is the most formful of the 3 races.
So you look at the favorite now, Epicenter, 6-5 odds. Second at the Kentucky Derby behind Rich Strike. So now, after a few weeks, Epicenter, you still like Epicenter to take the Preakness, or do you think Epicenter will struggle?
Common sense would dictate that the horse who ran second in the Derby behind the second biggest price in the history of the 148 Kentucky Derbies should be the overwhelming favorite, and he absolutely should be. Right now, he's the best 3-year-old in the country. He's certainly the most accomplished 3-year-old in the country, even more so than the Derby winner. You know, this horse has won a couple of prep races. He's run well in the others. Big second in the Derby, where, if you really think about it, he ran the best race in the Derby. He was the closest to that hot pace, and it was a hot pace. Fastest first quarter in the history of the Derby. The half, there were only 5 or 6 faster half miles in Derby history. And he wasn't too far from it. He made the first run at the embattled leaders and held off Zandon through most of the stretch. And then, he got upset by Rich Strike. He's the leader in the clubhouse right now. And being second in the Derby and having those prep wins is big. But he had 6 starts between the Louisiana Derby victory and his runner-up finish in the Kentucky Derby. Now he's got to come back in 2 weeks. Just looking at a stat the other day, a lot of horses who have finished second in the Derby have not had a tremendous amount of success in the Preakness. And I think part of it is, more often than not, these horses run so well and so big in the Derby, they have to come back in 2 weeks and, at the very least, replicate that performance. Can he do it? He absolutely can do it. He's 6-5 on the morning line. He will be the shortest price favorite to exit the Derby. He's going to be even money, maybe even less. I think he's vulnerable on Saturday.
Now, it's funny you mentioned that, Anthony, about Epicenter, second in the Derby, now the favorite. Early voting didn't run at the Kentucky Derby, and now you have the fresh legs. How much you think that will impact early voting here at the second favorite at 7-2?
He's my pick. There are a lot of things to like about early voting. Chad Brown, Clarvich Stables employed these tactics with cloud computing back in 2017. They got a piece of the Wood Memorial right here at Aqueduct. We're about a mile from Aqueduct now, folks, by the way. He finished third in the Wood Memorial, came back, and he upset Classic Empire in a thrilling stretch duel in the 2017 Preakness. Chad Brown is one of the best in the game, if not the best right now, at pointing a horse to the race. I know there was some rumors that he might run in the Derby, but Chad was pretty convinced that as long as Zandon stayed healthy, and he ran a good third in the Kentucky Derby, that Zandon would be his Derby horse and that early voting would be his Preakness horse. Zandon off the Triple Crown Trail. New goal for him is the Travers up in Saratoga in late August. The Run Happy Travers. So this horse, early voting, he is now the horse that's been pointed to this race. Chad learned from Bobby Frankel. There was nobody better in his day than Bobby Frankel at circling a race on a calendar for a horse and pointing the horse to that race. Chad's learned a lot from Bobby. That's probably the thing he learned best. When Chad points a horse for a race, they run really well. More often than not, they win. So between his speed, quite frankly, the lack of competition in this Preakness, and knowing what the game plan has been since that runner-up performance in the Wood Memorial, he was a pretty easy pick for me come this Saturday.
Now, Secret Oath is the one filly in this race, Anthony. 9-2 odds. What do you think Secret Oath can do here?
A little surprised she wasn't made the second choice on the morning line. Unlike the Churchill Downs morning lines, which were atrocious, this morning line's pretty good. I would have probably made her second choice. That's a thankless job making a morning line. But I probably would have made her second choice because she is a filly running against the boys. Those horses always seem to take money. I know Swiss Skydiver didn't, but I think the other thing to take account is how much success fillies have had in the race. Of course, Rachel Alexandra famously won it in 2009. Swiss Skydiver just 2 years ago. So, yeah, I mean, again, the most traditional race of the series, not surprising that the fillies have had some success in this race because it is a race that is easier to win than the Derby and the Belmont. So when they come in, and the thing about it is it takes a special filly to win these races. I think Secret Oath has that type of ability. I just wonder about her doing it in 2 weeks. Rachel Alexandra did it in the 2 weeks. She won the Oaks, and she came back and won it. Remember when Swiss Skydiver won the Oaks and came back to win the Preakness? She had a full 4 weeks. That was the COVID year. So the Derby was run the first Saturday in September. The Preakness was run the first Saturday in October. She didn't have to pull off the traditional 2-week turnaround. She had 4 weeks, which is huge, obviously. So, yeah, I mean, I would imagine she's going to take a lot of money. I put a 4th officially, and she can win the race. But she would kind of need things to really, really go her own way, I think, off of such a big effort in the Oaks to come back in the Preakness.
So, Anthony, I got to ask this question. After Rich Strike won the Derby, and again, that's more of the exception than the rule. I'm going to give you 3 horses. Skippy Longstocking, 20-1. Happy Jack, 30-1. Fenwick, 50-1. Do you give any of those horses a shot at an upset?
You didn't, Kev, the only long shot you didn't put in there was the horse I actually like. Okay. Creative Minister, number 2, Kenny McPeak, Brian Hernandez Jr. Source took a ton of money in his debut at Gulfstream Park, and he fell just a bit short. That was sprinting. He's come back in 2 mile and the 16th races and looked fantastic, winning both. He gets an extra 1/8 of a mile. I do not think that's going to be an issue for this horse. His running style leads you to believe that he's going to take as much ground as they give him. I think he has a ton of talent. He has made huge steps forward in it from between his 3 starts. Huge steps forward. And I think he's the horse at a price. Maybe Epicenter starts getting a little late in deep stretch. Maybe the filly doesn't fire and early voting scurrying away from them. I could see this horse picking up the pieces. I picked the race 5-2-8-4. So that's early voting, Creative Minister, Epicenter, Secret Oath. It's hard for me to find the other. I know Simplification was 4th in the Derby, and he was running on late. I want to see how he deals with the 2-week turnaround. I'm not really a fan of his. And those other horses you mentioned, they're going to be pretty big prices. But I think if a long shot were to upset this apple cart, it's the unknown, Creative Minister, who's making his stakes debut in the run for the Black-Eyed Susan.
Anthony Stabile, always a great job covering the horse racing world. The second leg of the Triple Crown coming up Saturday in Baltimore, the Preakness Stakes at Pimlico Race Course. Anthony, of course, of Naira Bets, content producer and co-host of America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports. You can find him on Twitter at the Big A Stabile. Anthony, thank you so much as always, and we'll talk to you again soon.
You actually won't talk to me again soon. The next time you and I speak, you will be speaking to the Beast of the Belmont, one of my several alter egos for our success in the Belmont Stakes, which if you followed along at Vegas Insider, you know full well the Belmont is our race, and I'm really looking forward to that. Amazingly, Kevin, we'll be talking about that in just 3 weeks.
Yep, in your backyard in New York, so we're looking forward to that. Again, Anthony, thank you so much.
You got it, Kevin. Thank you.
All right, there is Anthony Stabile, and before we leave, want to tell you all about TwinSpires. And if you open your account at twinspires.com using the offer code VI Racing, you get a $400 sign-up offer. If you want to bet on the Preakness Stakes, you must use the promo code on registration to be eligible and valid for one use per household. The sign-up offer cannot be combined with any other registration bonus offer. Certain exclusions apply. Again, open up your new horse racing account at twinspires.com. Use the offer code VI Racing and start earning your $400 bonus right away. My thanks to Anthony Stabile. I am Kevin Rogers. Thanks a lot for watching, and as always, best of luck with your bets.